Hey, this is Victor Antonio, and today I want to talk about presenting options/pricing when you're putting a proposal together for your customer. Now, before we get into that, let me explain the psychology of pricing a little bit with this view on options. There was a company by the name of Sonoma Williams. They made these bread makers, right? And originally they started out with the first bread maker, which was $275. That one right there, right? $275. And they were selling this bread maker, and they were really happy. They were selling again, it was going well, but after a while, they stopped selling. And so what they decided to do is they figured out, well, the market's probably saturated. Why don't we move up market and sell a newer one, a more expensive unit, right? And go after the luxury/status market, which is what they did. They introduced a second bread maker, a more expensive one, as you can see here at $429. And they said, hey, let's move up market. Let's go grab a new market. But something interesting happened. As soon as they introduced the bigger bread maker, the more expensive one, sales for the smaller one, the cheaper one, doubled. Now think about this. They wanted to move up market, so they came up with a more expensive bread maker, thinking that they would sell the more expensive one. But as soon as they introduced the more expensive one, they actually doubled the sales of the smaller one. Why is that? Well, let's talk about this, because this is important. See, when you have just one bread maker, let's say you're going to the store and you see just one bread maker, immediately your brain says, is that expensive? Is that too expensive? I mean, there's nothing to compare it to, so is that a good price for a bread maker, right? Now, as soon as you introduce a second option, now people use that as a reference point to compare it to the first one. Now they're asking a different question. As soon as you introduce the second bread maker, they're saying, is it worth the additional $154, or should I just go with the cheaper one? And as you now know, that when two options are presented and one is expensive and one is cheaper, and I don't know which one to go with, the brain will say, let's go with the cheaper one. It's safest. So in other words, when there's two options and you're not sure, your brain, which is a risk mitigating machine, will say, let me reduce the risk. Let me go with the less risky option, which is the cheaper product, which is why the sales actually doubled. Now, let's push forward. Now, let's say I'm trying to sell you two burgers here. I got a single and a double. Again, not trying to trick you here, but what do you think most people would buy? And if you said the majority of people would probably buy, unless they're really hungry, the majority of people would probably buy the smaller burger, right? The double burger looks too big. There'll be a percentage of people who will always buy the bigger one, like let's say 20%. But the majority of people will buy the smaller burger. Now, how can I get you to actually buy that double burger? What can I do? Can I sell the features, the benefits, the advantage, the gain of the bigger burger? No, because that's pushing you into buying something. But what if I just nudge you? Here's how I would nudge you. If I introduced a third option. As soon as I introduce the third option, let's go back into the brain to see how it works. Now, when you're looking at the three options, now here's what your brain does. It goes, ooh, too small, too big. Go in the middle, just right. Do you know what I mean? In other words, you'll look at the big one and go, ooh, that's too big. Ooh, that's too small. Let me just go with the one in the middle, just right. It's called the Goldilocks effect. Again, your brain is a risk mitigating machine. It's trying to mitigate risk, minimize risk. So it says, too big, I don't want to do that. Too small, might still be hungry. Let's go with the one in the middle. Now, if you don't believe this works, go to Starbucks, go to Wendy's, go to Burger King, McDonald's. They always have three options, and the majority of people choose the one in the middle. By the way, where do you think the biggest profit margin is? The one in the middle. So what does this mean to you? When you're putting a proposal together for a client, if you just put two options, they're always going to go with the cheapest one if they're not familiar with you, and if they're not familiar with the product or they're not familiar with your company. What you want to do is go with three options, knowing full well that they're going to go for the one in the middle. So again, help them make a buying decision. But this is a great way of increasing your sales. By simply adding a third option, you know that they're going to go for the one in the middle. Now, I get this question a lot. Victor, what if I only have two products, right? A double and a single, and I don't have a triple. My response is, well, then combine the first two, option one and option two, and create a third package where you get the single and the double for another price. Now you have three options again. So whether you're selling a product or a service, there's always a way to create this three option scenario, and you'll know in your mind that they're always going to choose the one in the middle. Try the strategy. Let me know what you think.